Well, inflation is a word we're hearing more about in just about all walks of life. But did you ever think about how inflation is affecting what you do with your pets, from food costs to medical costs? I know we have a couple of cats, and it seems as though the pet food costs have really gone up. Anyway, we're going to talk today to Charlotte Reed, who was executive producer and host of The Pet Buzz, has been on so many national shows, I can't even count them all, and we're going to discuss this topic. Charlotte, good to have you with us today on the program.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
Well, great.
Especially you're a cat owner.
Yeah, that's right. Two of them. So anyway, yeah, and we've noticed it a lot. My wife and I have really noticed prices going up, not only just with food and stuff, but with even medical costs and things. So it's a big problem, and I'm sure you hear a lot about it from pet owners too, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, people are spending more money for these same items, food costs, toys, beds, bowls, leashes, and collars. And that's really because we're experiencing what we call petflation. In other words, your money is not what it was worth a year and a half ago. And a lot of this is a contributing factor of the pandemic. You know, during the pandemic, we had supply chain issues, and we continue to have supply chain issues. Anybody who goes to the supermarket knows we still have supply chain issues. The four categories really that have really experienced petflation, obviously, are pet food. Pet food's gone up 7 to 9%. That's a lot of money for a lot of us.
Absolutely.
So, and, taking that into consideration, but people are, they become loyal to a food brand, so they suck it up and they still spend the money for that particular food brand. The other category, like you mentioned, veterinary care. Veterinary care has gone up considerably. And, a lot of people don't realize veterinarians are having some of the same issues that some of the vendors that we shop at have. They're not getting as much money. There's shortages with staff. They can't find staff. We always joke people don't want to work. They have less staff to work with. They can't find other veterinarians. The other areas that have gone up are, supplies. Toys have gone up. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of our toys and a lot of our pet apparel is made overseas in South America. It's made in China. And as a result, with shipping costs, less and less people are actually not making as many items because the prices have gone up so much. I'm talking about manufacturers that people order less. A friend of mine just went to Target yesterday, and she said all the stuff at our local Target store was gone because stores are actually getting less stuff. So if you're first there, you're getting it. So leashes, collars, beds, all apparel, all of that's gone up considerably. So, really, you have to kind of, you can't just continue to spend. You have to really think about what you're spending and why you're buying it. I can understand if you're loyal to a food brand, and there's so many food brands out there. If you're loyal to it, stick with it. But here's some tips that you can use. First of all, you know what? Most people in the pet or who have pets never think about a pet budget. They don't think about how many servings does a bag of food go for. Okay, so that's one way to recognize how spending money for food. Is that bag going to last me 30 days? Is that bag going to last me 2 weeks? So depending on what you have, if you're buying a supermarket food from a big box store, Purina, for example, Purina offers coupons. You can go to Purina.com site and you can get coupons. If you have prescription diet, for example, Hills makes prescription diets. I'm just randomly throwing out some manufacturers. So, for example, if you buy your food from the veterinarian, if it's, for example, Hills, each veterinarian usually has a fact sheet for per brand or per item that it is. If it's like maybe it's a digestive food or an oral care food, there's usually an accompanying card with that. If you ask for that card or it's out on a rack, usually all the cards are out on a rack. Go pick up that card for the food that you buy and look at the back. There's a website there. Go to that website and sign up for coupons. They will give you coupons. If you have another brand of food, call the manufacturer and say, look, I really like this food. I realize the cost has gone up. Can you send me any coupons? Almost every single pet food company has a customer service brand. It's on the back of the bag of food. Now, a lot of people, Bob, they want to throw out the bag of food and store it somewhere else. I tell everyone, never throw out that bag that the pet food comes in. Instead of transferring it, put it in your storage container with the bag. The bag was made to keep the food as fresh as possible, but the information that's on that bag is vital. Should that food be recalled, there's a batch and lot number that you need to have. So you need to keep that bag just in case something happens, and that way you can either give it to your vet or you can actually write to the FDA and say, look, I have, as well as the manufacturer, I have this food. I opened a bag of pet food one day, not such a long time ago, and the food was all green inside. It got contaminated.
Oh,
so imagine if you take that bag of contaminated food, you might not see it. Like in my case, it was green, and you poured it into what you already have. You would contaminate that food. So you want to keep the food as fresh as possible.
Yeah,
that's
it's very important.
A lot of. Yeah, I mean, it is, because you don't want your pet to get sick. The other thing people always make the mistake of doing is sticking their food, and they can't find the scoop. They stick their hand in the bag. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, most people don't even think about the germs, do they, or anything?
It's not so much the germs. If that food is contaminated, if it has salmonella or listeria, there's a good chance by sticking your hand in the bag, you will contract that particular ailment or virus or bacteria.
Yeah, and that's definitely something nobody thinks about, is getting some diseases like that. Charlotte Reed, thanks for talking to us. She's the executive producer and host of the Pet Buzz. So if you'd like some of these facts that we've been talking about and information, you go to thepetbuzz.com.